This is a new day, a new beginning.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. And today we are unboxing a new saber, which, if you didn't know, this is probably one of the most anticipated sabers I have ever gotten and ever bought from my boy Theory Sabers. And this is probably a special saber to me because it's a character I absolutely love, as you can see, and it just means so much. So the reason I haven't unboxed this yet from the cardboard and stuff is because I don't know if I got one of the 200 sabers, which comes with the orange and white box, as you can see here, or if it's gonna come with the original red box. But let's unbox this and see what saber we got and what box we got. Guys, as you can see right there, I think it's one of the 200 sabers that we got. And it's one of the 200 sabers that we got, which just the box alone with this is more than any box or saber that I can think of, which I think this is one of the coolest Theory Saber boxes that has ever graced this room. And man, even just the box itself, like, I haven't even opened this thing yet, and just the box itself is just absolutely amazing. So let's get to unboxing this bad boy. And just look at this cool, sick box. Like, how can you, like, Theory Sabers, like, the best, right? Well, as you can see, instead of all the red, it comes with the white baggies and stuff. And this is actually the SNV4, which I got, which, man, I just can't wait to open this, dude. I'm so excited to see this. Before we get to the meat and potatoes, we got all of this, which comes in a cool bag. You got the Allen wrench, you got the chargers and stuff, which this stuff's just sick. Oof. You got the blade plugs? Well, I forget what these are called. Forgive me. But these are sick. Here it comes with 2 Theory Saber blade plugs. Ooh, this is new. A card reader. The USB 2.0. Never seen. I think this is when it comes with the Profi and the SNV4, because when I always get a Theory Saber, I always get the RGB because I like dueling with it and hitting with it, and I always forget that yes, the SNV4 and the Profi, I believe, can be dueled with, but I just like the RGB because of the hilts and stuff. But that's actually pretty sick. You got a couple of where'd it go? There we go. You got a couple of Theory stickers, which I actually want to put that somewhere later. You got this sick manual, which I love. Out of past saber companies, I think Theory Sabers is probably the best at providing everything, which I think is pretty cool. Now, this is the Theory Saber logo, which I think is pretty sick. But just feeling it, just feeling this thing is super amazing. And honestly, just with looking at it, and this is the first time I've ever had, like, I have the Clone Wars one, and I think we all, including including myself, were all thinking, hey, are we going to get the Clone Wars Ahsoka ones, or are we going to get the Rebels ones? And this is probably the coolest thing ever. Like, look at the detail. Like, the weathering and stuff is just beautiful. And this is the main hilt, too, which I think is so sick. And obviously, the second one, which they both come with their own individual bags, which I freaking love. And the Shoto, which, man, this is just the sickest saber. Like, if you're a Ahsoka fan, I highly recommend just, like, the details and stuff in this one with the weathering is just beautiful with them. Like, these are probably this is probably my favorite saber from Theory Sabers. But yeah, those are the blades. I mean, those are the hilts, and they do come with 2 blades, one for the Shoto and then one for the main, which I'm just shocked that I even got this. But this is absolutely crazy. Wait. Oh, you know that feeling. You know that feeling when you take off plastic and it just feels good. And I forgot to show this, but it does come with the display stand, which is so sick. So it looks like, unfortunately, we did not get the golden ticket, but that's no problem because this is worth any golden ticket. But let's stop talking and put in these blades, shall we? Now I'm just screwing it in because I love how these things are so tiny. Because if you look at these little guys, these are how you make sure the blade is secure. If you don't tighten them all the way, then your blade could be flying out of your hilt, and we don't want hilts flying. We don't want. So the way I test to make sure the blade is secure, you gotta yank it a little bit, and like, look at that. Look at the saber, dude. It's just so beautiful. So there's one saber. So now that we got, dude, this is, I'm sorry if I'm jumbling over my words, but this is so cool. So this is gonna be our first time turning it on. So let's see what they look like. I love how I love it. I love this. So if you can't hear, different sounds with smooth swing. So the activation button is here where you can see, and then if you click them once, they turn off. You click them obviously again, and it's cool that with at least with these ones that I've never, but you have these buttons here with these 2 buttons right here, as you can see, and they probably, and I believe, yeah. And I always get confused with, even with sabers in general, how long you gotta hold it and all that stuff. So let's figure that out together. Ooh. So that's so sick. And then, dude. Alright. So this is the deceived one, which is red, and I'm just so giddy over these because these are probably the sickest sabers, which... Alright, let's see what else we got. So this one's probably the Anakin one from episode 2. Oof. Even you can see, like, on the camera, like, and you can hear the humming, which is a different hum altogether, which Jesse from Kyberphonic, you can hear it. It's just, this is so beautiful. It's just, I love how each one makes a different ignition and a different humming. Next. So So that's Vader. Same red. Can you imagine if Ahsoka Tano went to the dark side with red sabers? Ugh. Next.
It's just bad these days.
So I believe this one is Ben Kenobi. Oof. I'm just so giddy over these. These are so sick.
At last we will have revenge.
Darth Maul.
Master Yoda.
Yoda. Wait, it's perfect. And the one thing, before we continue, the one thing I like about at least these Ahsoka sabers, which these feel so perfectly balanced than most of the sabers I own, but and with Theory Sabers, everything just seems so balanced with each saber. Even with these two feel so balanced. But let's continue.
Darth Sidious.
So this is a Darth Sidious one, which is just so clean.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
This is the Luke one. And
Ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
ooh. So listen to that again if you could hear it. So that's just such a different sound with a red saber, and I absolutely love it.
I'm Cal, and
So-
this is BD1.
This is the Calcast, this one. Ooh. I can't spin. I would spin it, but this room is way too small for that.
Second sister.
Second sister. Ooh. Just.
Ahsoka Tano.
There's our girl, Ahsoka. And honestly, I think I'm going to keep it on this one because this is obviously her signature, which... So, with Ahsoka's sound, I love it because it's humming, which I love Ahsoka's sound, the ignition, everything about, even with the sabers, which I'll talk about the sabers in a minute, but just hearing that beautiful hum of her white sabers is just probably one of my favorite sounds for a lightsaber in Star Wars. But such an underrated character, and I absolutely love Baylan. But ooh, and he has the orange too. Like, oof. But
The Dark Saber. It belongs.
I mean, Moth. Which I think the Darksaber is another unique sound in for a lightsaber, I would say, but obviously it's called a Darksaber, but just hearing the humming of it is just beautiful, and the motion of it is just so clean. Kylo Ren. And you can hear the crackling of a crystal in there too, which is sick.
Just a simple wonder.
Ooh.
Now this is pod racing.
So this is probably one of my favorite fonts in all of the sabers that we always get, but so it sounds like the pod racing scenes, and then which you can't beat that one. That one's probably one of the most unique ones that I love on these sabers. Oh, this one's interesting. I don't think I've heard this one yet. That's sick because obviously in the show she has the green. Ooh. And yeah, I like that one a lot. That's actually a pretty sick sound with that one. I wonder what this one is. I'm just having so much fun with these. This one's my favorite one. This one beats the... So for me it would be this one, the pod racing one, and then Ahsoka's, because you got the... That's just so sick. That power down sequence. Let's hear that one more time. And then yeah, obviously you get the... And that's so funny. And then the power down sequence is probably so sick. That's a sick one. So this is a TIE Fighter one. And as you swing, you can hear the TIE Fighter sounds, which is actually pretty sick. And then we're back to the Deceived, which I love these, but let me just show you. Let me just back up a little bit, and you can, well, you can see it this way, I guess. Which you can see that one saber is smaller than the other, and it's just perfect. It's honestly just super perfect. But let's get these lights turned off and see how beautiful they are in the dark. Oh yeah, this is just so. One more time. Ooh. So yeah, these sabers are probably my favorite sabers that I've ever gotten. But so a little history about Ahsoka sabers. So one thing I find interesting about these pair of Ahsoka sabers is that her hilts are curved, as you can see a little bit. And the only other lightsaber duelist that we know has a curve in their hilt is Count Dooku, which his is obviously for a saber, as you can see the picture here. And for Ahsoka's lightsabers is more like a samurai saber, which has a little curve in it. But what also makes Ahsoka's sabers probably one of the coolest. That scared the shit out of me. But what makes Ahsoka Sabers one of the coolest out of all, I would say, of Star Wars sabers is that when she constructed her sabers, she obviously didn't know like what to use and stuff, and her white crystals are actually from an Inquisitor, which she defeated and purified the crystals, which is going to be right here in the audiobook, which I thought was pretty cool, but here you go.
And turned him to the dark side. Someone had made him like this. Someone, Ahsoka knew, who was still out there and who must be prevented from finding other children if she could manage it. She reached down and closed his helmet, covering the ruin of his face. It was the only compassion she could show him. She had work to do. Kneeling beside her fallen foe, Ahsoka sifted through the wreckage of his lightsaber hilt. The crystals that had powered his lightsaber were no longer contained by metal, but their song had not dimmed. She held them in one hand, almost shaking as the familiarity of them coursed through her, while the other hand retrieved the half-finished hilts she carried with her. These lightsabers wouldn't have the decorative handles she preferred, and her grip would be affected until she had time to truly finish them. She was missing a few key components, parts that had to be specifically made, but the creature's ruined hilt was before her. Quickly, she picked through the wreckage again, this time paying closer attention to the inner workings of the weapon, and smiled when she found what she needed. They would do for now. Ahsoka could hear the Imperials approaching. Her duel had made them hesitate, but now they were on high alert. She pushed aside her sense of urgency, even though she was in a hurry. Meditation came easily, as if she were sitting in safety in the Jedi Temple itself, instead of a dusty street with her enemies closing in. Her mind's eye sorted the pre-assembled components and those she had just retrieved into order, locking each into place with the others. When Ahsoka opened her hands, she was not surprised to find that 2 lightsabers, rough and unfinished, were waiting. They would need more work, but they were hers. When she turned them on, they shone the brightest white. Awe in his voice. "May I see them?" It was safe enough in Bail's office, surrounded by the void of space. Ahsoka stood up and unclipped her lightsabers from her side. She activated them, and Bail's office was filled with a soft white light, gleaming off the windows and reflecting the stars. The office was much smaller than a training room, being shipboard, but she did a few of the basic forms for him anyway. She would never get tired of the way they glowed. She hadn't thought she'd ever replace her original green ones, and she still had to finish the handles, but these were all right. "They're beautiful, Ahsoka," he said. She turned them off, bowed slightly, and sat back down. "I've never seen white ones before," Bail mused. "They used to be red," Ahsoka said. "When the creature had them, they were red. But I heard them before I ever saw him on Raeda, and knew that they were meant for me." "You changed their nature?" he asked. "I restored them," Ahsoka replied. "I freed them. The red crystals were corrupted by the dark side, when those who wielded them bent them to their will. They call it making the crystal bleed. That's why the blade is red." "I had wondered about that," Bail said. "I spent a lot of time with the Jedi, but I never asked questions about where their lightsabers came from. I don't suppose they would have told me anyway." "These feel familiar," Ahsoka said. "If I had to guess, I would say they were looted from the Jedi Temple itself." "That raises some very uncomfortable possibilities," Bail said. "Not to mention a host of potential dangers for a Jedi Padawan." "I'm not a Padawan anymore, Senator, and it's not safe to be Ahsoka Tano."
And so, what is also interesting about her purifying the crystals is that she is the only other force wielder that has either bled or purified a crystal. I'm not counting the Acolyte because Acolyte makes no sense, which I'm not going to get into it, but her bleeding that crystal makes 0 sense. And yes, we do have Kylo's, but when he tried to bleed his crystal, he cracked the crystal, which gives it that crackling sound. And which is funny enough is that in canon, when she's the only one who purified it, Vader is the only one who bled his crystal, which is shown here.
As Vader awakens from his dream, he refuses to allow that Force vision to become his reality and his destiny. He will not allow this. Grabbing the crystal, this time with force, anger, pain, hatred, polluting all the emotions he has into the living object that will swing his rage for the rest of his life.
No, I refuse. This is all there is.
Throwing all of his hatred, betrayal, fear, sorrow, and everything broken within the boy who dreamed of becoming a Jedi. As lightning crackled from the fiery skies above and lava swirled around him like the pain within his black soul, he let out a scream as if he were being born 1,000 times.
And what's funny about Darth Vader bleeding the crystal and Ahsoka purifying the crystal is that Ahsoka and Darth Vader are obviously Anakin Skywalker. We're both master and apprentice, so that to me is probably one of my favorite connections with Ahsoka's lightsabers and her purifying the crystal, and Darth Vader and Anakin bleeding his crystal, which I love that parallel, whether they chose to do it because of Anakin and Ahsoka or they just did it just because they can. But these sabers are probably my favorite out of Theory Sabers, and I know this is gonna sound crazy, but I think I'm going to order the RGB ones so I could duel with these ones. But that's so sick. But yeah, I can't wait to just it's funny because with these ones I'm probably not gonna ever touch these again and just have them displayed. But yeah, it's been an honor just to have these sabers in my possession, and I've also forgot to mention that they do activate when you move them, so I apologize if they do that throughout the video. But these sabers are probably I'm gonna gawk over these sabers because these are probably the most underrated sabers that I've ever had. And obviously with me, Ahsoka is my favorite character, and it's I don't know how to describe it. It's just a great feeling, like, but just the detail of it and what everything, like, I know I'm also repeating myself, but these sabers are just iconic and I love them. So I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna go play with these sabers and twirl and do probably some shorts or whatever with these. But yeah, I will definitely catch you guys in the next video because we got more saber reviews coming soon and more just talking in general with this channel. But I hope you guys have a great day, and may the Force be with you. Peace out. So as I was getting ready to pack everything up, I put the new instead of putting the blade plug, I put this little thing in, obviously. And I was messing around with it when I was going to edit the video and stuff, and I noticed something.
Ignition 2.
So this is the ignition 2. Which, to me, I don't know what you guys think, but to me that sounds like an alien. You know what I'm saying? Let's listen to it again. That sounds pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie. And then there's more, so... Oh. And there's more, so...
Ignition 3.
So if you hold down the ignition button, and then the next one,
Ignition 4.
which is so cool. I didn't even notice that with the RGB, but with the SNV4, it's very interesting. And then next one,
Ignition 5.
that sounds sick. And then
Ignition 6.
that, like, I'm so impressed with the SNV4.
Ignition 7.
Like,
Ignition 8.
that sounds cool because I believe that's the pod racer starting up. Let me hear that one more time. Yeah, it sounds like when Anakin stalled and then he tried to, and he had to re-jump it. And one more time. I think that is the sound. I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments if that is what if that is the pod racing starting up.
Ignition 9. Ignition 10.
What? Hang on, let's listen to that again. Hang on, let's listen to that one more time. That's a disturbing one, not gonna lie. But that's awesome. I don't know why.
Ignition 11.
That sounds sick. One more time. I think that's all of them. Let me check.
Ignition 1.
Yeah, so that goes all the way back to Ignition 1, which I didn't realize it when I was playing around with it, but yeah, that's actually pretty cool. So, man, these sabers are just beautiful.